Hello and welcome to the 3D Code Experience. My name is John Pennington. I'm continuing my experiences with 3D Code software, journaling in cooperation with the fans from Cubify Fans Blogspot. What we're going to do here today is continue. Last time we were together, we went into voxel sculpting and we created a pawn using a single reference image and the lathe tool. This time we're going to create a knight, and it's going to require a little bit more. Let's start by bringing back the pawn that we were working on. The last time I did this, I did a little bit more fine tuning after I got done talking to you. Smoothed the top of it up a little bit, stretched this neck some, just made it a little bit smoother, but didn't change it too much. I have symmetry on right now. I want to turn that off. What I want to show you here is how to get your created models into your library of models over here. And you click on the plus sign and you create your own folder. I've created one and I've called it My Parts. Okay, so when I click on it, you see there's one in there. Okay, so how we get them in there is we go over here to what we've created, and we want to click on File and export it as an object. Okay, and so once you do that, you name it and you put it in here. All right, and then you save it. And then after you've done that, you come over here to the folder you want it in. It doesn't matter which one you go to, whether it's yours or an existing one, you can add to any of them. So I'm going to mine called My Parts. I'm going to add the pawn object. And as you notice, they both look the same because they're identical. I'm going to delete the second one for right now because it's redundant. Okay, so I'm going to start with a new project. Back into my voxel sculpting, empty. I'm going to go to the front. And I'm going to bring this one in. Let's just click on it, give it a little bit of time there. Okay. You could look down through here. Almost all of this stuff is the same as the transform tool. You can pick your position. That doesn't really matter because we can reposition it later. You can change the scale of the model. You can do a lot of things on here. Just like when we bring in any of the primitives, we are on import, but if we were using primitives, we could make this larger and the poly count will go up. So we want to make sure we're careful if we're going to use this more than once, that we pay attention to what our poly count was that we chose. Okay, so we're going to make sure this saves on a specific layer. Right now there's nothing in my project, so the top layer is fine. Okay, so I'm going to put it in there. So I'm going to create one more. So let's apply that over there, and that's just a reference. Okay, now I'm going to go to another tool. So I've got both of them there, but I'm going to turn the bottom one, I'm going to call it pawn. Okay, and the top one is going to be our knight. So let's get knight in there. All right, now I'm going to turn the pawn off for a second. I'm going to be working only on the knight. I'm going to go to the cutoff tool. I want to make sure I have the rectangle selected. I do. I want to come down here and cut this. Oh, see, right about that spot. This really isn't critical because the knight is a unique model and it can kind of look a little different than the rest of them some. Now, the knight is a little bit taller and a little bit stubbier, a little bit thicker than the pawn. So one of the things we're going to do is go to the bottom view, pressing the number 1. We're going to bring up our transform tool, and we're going to transform this. Now, we've got the circle on here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stretch this out to that circle. Okay. Now, this is me. I could have turned on the grid and made a specific scale, but I did this for now. I'm going to go back to number 2, and you can see how much fatter that is. Let's bring the other pawn up, and there's a big difference. Okay. Might be a little bit thick, but I can live with it. You know what? I'm going to go back to my bottom view, and I'm going to adjust this. Let's put the grid on so that I don't lose anything. Let me adjust this grid a little bit because I want to bring this in uniformly. I think right about there will be enough to take off. So I'm going to take this down to that line. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. That helps me keep it circular. That doesn't look too bad. All right, let's turn the grid off. Okay, hide our pawn. This is now going to be our knight, the base for our knight. Okay, so what we want to do now is bring in some reference images. Now remember, it's always good to save things, so let's do a save as, and I'm going to call this knight toot 1, and that's just so I have something in case it crashes while I'm talking to you. I can bring this back up and just edit right from that point. Okay, so we're going to bring in some reference images. Okay, now before I do that, let's go ahead and get that user interface that I always have up there. This way nothing looks different while we're talking, everything's always in the right places. Okay, go over here to reference images, background, and I'm going to click on, last time I just clicked on the Z-axis. This time I'm going to click on edit image placement. Okay, and when I do that, this little box over here comes up. I'm going to pin it, and over here I click choose. Okay, and you see we're in the front mode, so I want to bring in the front facing one, so let's open that. Alright, now I'm going to rotate to the side, and I could do this by pressing the number 4, but I rotated and then I clicked shift to lock it into place. Let's choose the side image, and there we go, and let's open that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my pictures up to the base of the model, and I'm going to kind of center them in there. It looks like I almost did pretty good on the size of that base. It's almost exactly where I want it to be. So let's go to the front view and bring this picture up, and you want to adjust each picture independently a little bit. Okay, and you can see it needs to come over this way some, so let's bring that over. And these don't have to be precise because we're going to adjust some things, and we're not trying to make an exact duplicate of what we're seeing, although that could be your goal. That's not always my goal. My goal for references is more to help me have control over the dimensions, because it's real easy when you start drawing to lose your dimensions. And if you've got some reference images, I at least can know how thick or thin to make something, how tall or short, okay, in reference to other parts on the model. Alright, so with that, I'm going to go back to my side view. Now I don't need to adjust the images from this point on, so I'm going to close that. Now if I want to bring that back up, I just go up here, click the arrow, go to background, and go to edit placement, and I can adjust these one more time. Okay, now I could have, while I'm in this mode, I could flip the X, okay, flip the Y. Now when you're in the left mode, you always want, if you've got a model that has a face, you want the face to be towards the left side. Same thing, if you're on the right side, you want your model to face the right side of the screen, because when you rotate it, it'll turn to the right. See, like right now, if I'm rotating, there's the front. You see the difference? Okay, so front, side. Let's close these. You also can reset your pictures. We don't want to do that after we've moved them around, because that would change their position as well as it would change their scale. Okay, now what we're going to do here is we've got the knight's base on that layer. We're going to add a child layer to the knight, and this layer we're going to call the head, and that will be the head of the knight. And we're going to bring that in using the blob tool, and we're going to trace it using the vector tool. Okay, and so what we're going to do here is just begin to, and I will show you one more thing before I start to trace this. Back here in the image placement, and I'm doing this because it'll help me. The opacity here, you don't want to just accept it every time. You want to double check some things. I think 5 is what I like on this particular model. That looks good. 45. Okay, so just make sure you've adjusted all that to your liking. Okay, and there we go. Let's bring this, whoops, escape out of that, back to the side. Alrighty, now we're going to go ahead and begin to trace the top part of the body onto our base. So we're on the blob, And let's start here. And right now I'm just going to do some quick clicking. And when I'm done, I'll adjust them using my right click. I know where I want them to be, and I know how this tool works. So clicking the stop and start points is all I need to do. I know it doesn't look like I'm putting them anywhere near where they should be, but they are. You can actually put less points. I can go down here and just put a point there, and then I can later on go in and edit these. Okay, and I think that's what I want. I'm going to click escape. That allows me to be free from that. So I just right click, and I can cycle through the different ways that, and I can easily add another one if I need it. Okay, so there we are, and I can move them. You don't want to zoom in and out right now because the drawing isn't attached to the model, and so if you zoom in and out, it will change the way the model is. It'll change it in relation to the size, and you'll have to resize things. One of the nice things you could do if necessary is you could hold your space bar and move things around. Okay, we don't need to do that. Let's kind of put it back where we had it. Do there and there and there and there. Sure, I even need that one, but let's just move it out here a little bit. There we go. That's not too bad. Alrighty, and check that one and that one. Let's move this one up around there. Do that one, and then that one. There we go. I think I want another one in here, just a little bit of a curve. I know I'm not on the line. I'm looking at it and seeing how it's going to look in relationship to my base. Okay, I think I like that. Now, one of the things you can do that helps you when you spend some time, and this really didn't take a lot of time, but some things will, is you go up here and save your shape. Okay, so we call this horse trace, and I've already got 2 in here, so let's just call this one 3 and save it. Now if I need it, I can bring it back. It'll be right where it's at. Okay, now the radius is important. I'm going to go with 30. I think 30 is going to work for me. Then once you've got that all set, you can click apply up here, or you can just hit the enter button on your keyboard. Let's click apply. Before I do anything, let's go to the front and look at the shape. Don't worry about it not being lined up, but what you're looking for is the thickness. I see on here it looks very close, maybe a little bit thicker over here. I can adjust that with my transform tool. Let me escape out of this mode. Let's go ahead and get into the transform mode, and let's bring this over. I think it's this one I have to zero out. Yep, and that puts it right in the center on my horse. Let's go ahead and adjust the thickness while we're here. See how we're doing that? And that's done. Okay, looking pretty good. All right, let's go back to the side view. I'm liking that. Okay, now I need to do a couple things to give it some detail. What I want to do is I want to make the nose up to the eyes. I want to make this tapered. I want to make it tapered, but I want to make it tapered in a way that it's gradual. I don't want it to be a harsh taper. So let's go to the pose tool. Let's get the circle. Okay, and let's begin to, and once I get about the size I want, I can bring it in with my, all right, and yeah, I'm thinking about there, and then hit that, and that enters it, and that's in there. I'm in the paint select mode, just so you know. It's important you know exactly which ones of these settings you're using. Each one of them does a little bit differently. Now this here smooth section, which is the yellow band up here, you hit that a few times, it actually makes that a little bit more on the gradient side, which is important because that makes this transition not so sharp. Okay, so just keep hitting it until you get happy with it. I'm going to go to my front, and I'm just going to squeeze this a little bit. Okay, I don't want to go too harsh. I don't want them to have a pointy nose. And I'm going to go back to my side. I'm going to hit the enter button, and I believe that's done. Let's just, whoops. I got to hold the Alt down when I'm in this tool. All right, so you can see looking from here to here that it made that significantly thinner, and I like it, so we're going to keep that. Go back to my side view, and now we want to concentrate on making these ears. Oh, before that, I actually want to thin out where I think the mane would be. I think that should be thin too. So let's go back to the pose tool. We're in the paint select, but this time we're going to use an actual brush. And okay, making sure that the symmetry is on. The X is where I want it to be. All right, let's just bring this whole thing down a little bit. And I'm going to go over here to my pose again, make sure I got my same tools. I think if I change the depth of that and I narrow the radius down some, that will give me a little less drastic of a paint. There we go. Okay, let me just look. Yep, that's looking better. Okay, I don't want this yellow in here. Let me go to this more solid one. There we go. That's better. All right, let's Control Z out of those. Back to my side view. I changed over my brush, and that's what I needed to do. Okay, so let's start again. Right here, I'm getting a much more consistent edge now. All right, that should be it. And a little bit to paint on up there. Not going to really matter because that doesn't have to be squished in as much as the others. All right, let's go back to the, well, actually, let's go to the back, which will be number 8. All right, let's get our, whoops. Let's show the gizmo. Let's reset it to the axis that we're looking at. Okay. And let's just squeeze that in. Okay, so that way he's narrower. It's a little hard sometimes to see with that paint on there. Let's hide the gizmo. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Alrighty, so let's apply it by hitting enter. Let's take a look at it. Yep, got a little bit of a taper to it. That's all we wanted, just a little tiny bit. I need to smooth this out, so let's do that. Let's get a bigger brush, not quite as drastic. Let's just kind of run down through that little streak that we put in it. And that has to do with that feathering. If we'd had the feathering a little bit more clear, need to turn the smoothing up. Okay. There's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to go over here right now and I'm going to resample at about 0.7. And I'm going to make sure that it's smooth. Okay. And then this will probably work a little bit better. All we did was reduce the triangles in here, so that way our smoothing can be a little bit more effective. Just different ways to work with the tools. Okay. There we go. Looks good. Alright, I'm liking that. Back to my 4. Now the other thing we need, whoops, let's get this little bump out of here. It's gone. Alright, now we're going to build this ear. Okay. You can't really grab the ear. We're going to use it with the move tool. And we want to do this by just grabbing, pulling out. Okay, let me see what I got. And then we're going to go to the top. Actually, let's try going straight to the side now. Let's see what happens if we just pull. Whoops, not that way. Okay. I have a pointy tool on purpose. Not liking that. So here when you're pulling, sometimes you have to work with different angles, so you just kind of move your tools around your angles and stuff. Okay. I think that's gonna work. Let me bring up my reference images, and I'm going to do a hide all, okay, because I just want to look at this without the, yeah, I think that'll be fine. I'll do a little bit of smoothing and clean it up, and I'll be fine, okay? So these can be closed, they're hidden. The rest of my work is now going to be done on the actual head itself, okay? I'm going to go back to the smooth tool. I'm going to make this a little bit larger. I'm still seeing this transition line. I don't like that. Let me go back and resample. I'm going to take it down to another 0.7. Go from there and see what it does. It did move my ear a little bit, but that's all right. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. Yep. Let's go to the move tool. Bring my ear back out a little bit. That's not bad. And up some. Doesn't have to look like the model completely. Keep that in mind. Okay. There we go. Now I'm at 46. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to increase the resolution. There we go. Very smooth, looking good. All right. I did that so that it would smooth out my ears. All right. Alrighty. Now what I want to do is I want to attach the head to the base, and then I'm going to work on smoothing out and filling in this so that this looks like it's all one piece. Okay. So I'm just going to merge the head with the knight. Okay. Now I have just one layer. Now I'm going to go over here to the smooth tool, and I want to get my symmetry on. I want my symmetry to be more of a radial mirror, or no, a radial symmetry. No, I apologize. It was radial mirror, but let's give this 4 will be enough. Okay. And what I just want is that will help speed up some of the work that I'm about to do. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the fill tool in for now, and we're just going to try to fill in this little bit of a void here. Okay. There's a lot of different ways of doing this. This is just one of them. The main thing we want this to do is we want this to be a little bit sleeker coming in. I'm going to bring the move tool over here. I'm going to put a smoother tip on it. There we are. Make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to start just kind of working with some things here. We're going to smooth these all out in a moment. Go back to my fill tool. Let's get some of these little bumps filled up. Let's just change this to say 8 for now, just to see if it helps us to get a little bit more of a smoother look on this base. You don't really have to go outside of, you only really need to work in that 1/8 of a plane. That looks pretty good. Let's hide the planes. Let's go to the 2. Not looking bad. Let's go to the 4. Looking pretty good. Alright. Now I could fill this in more if I wanted. It doesn't need to be. I think that actually looks pretty good. Let's back it up some. Okay. The only thing I would have liked is I would have liked this to be a little bit narrower. Let's bring the pawn up for a moment just so we compare these side by side. There they are. That's looking pretty good. Let me close this pawn. I'm going to take a couple more seconds and show you one way that I would consider working with thinning this out, and you have to be careful if you do it. You may end up undoing a lot. Let's go to the move tool. I want to be I don't want this symmetry on. I want to go to my XYZ and I just want X, and let's show the plane for now. Okay, let's go to the back view, and I'm just wanting to, I wonder if this bar would do a better job. Let's just kind of, all I want to do is move in. Ooh, that was way too much. Let's go back to this. It's a softer tool, and all I'm wanting is just to pinch in a little bit. You know what I'm going to do? Actually, I'm going to use the cut and clone, and go to the 4, and I'm going to get into where I can just kind of okay, and we're going to put that on its own layer. We're going to apply that. And we're going to go back to the top, and we're going to shrink that a little bit. Hold on before we do that. Let's undo that. Let's go. We did apply that. Let's go to the transform tool. Now let's take the symmetry off for the moment. And let's just shrink it some. Okay. There we go. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to have to repair my ears because of what I just did. But I just wanted this to look more like there's a mane on him and not just. So let's merge volume 45 with the knight. Okay. Now let's go back up to the top and get our fill tool. And let's put our symmetry back on. And it is, because we're on the knight. Okay. And let's start filling this in right here. Yeah, smooth some of this. Don't want to hurt that ear, so I want to get this really right on the line that I'm trying to deal with. There it is, right there. Perfect. And when the circle disappears, keep an eye on the white dot of the 2. Whenever you got the mirroring on, the symmetry on, you always get the same number of dots as you do planes. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, liking that a lot. The only thing I would maybe want is for that to be out a little bit. It's not critical. Let me go to the side, look at it. Let me try it. I wanna. You get to a place where it's like, I'm happy. let's undo a lot of that. Alright, I think I need to go up here and turn on a depth limit. And let's make this limit 5 and see if that helps. Doesn't look like it. Alrighty, so let's try something else. Let's go down here to cut and clone. And let's just cut the ear. Okay, let's look at this from the front. Let's get it on its own layer. Let's apply. Let's go to our transform. Let's bring this out. There's a lot in there, there's no doubt about that. You'll see in a moment what my mind is thinking, and hopefully I'm not as far off as I want to be. Let's go up here to smooth, see if we can't start to shrink some of this now. I'm going to lock these back in a moment, you'll see. And I think I can live with that. That'll at least let me change my brush to a sharp tip and give us one more quick pull. I think I can live with that. Let's go ahead and move it a little bit more, but with this brush. That's going to work. All right, let's merge it. Get our smooth tool out, start baking these together. See how sweet that works. Make your brush small so you're not doing damage to areas you don't want to be doing damage to. Okay, let me look at that and make sure that's what I wanted. 4 down. I can see I need some more. Yes, I think I'm going to be perfect with that. Alright, let's do a little bit more move, and I think we'll be done. Just kind of want to give it a little bit more of a ear shape. I know I've gone off my reference image. Let's go back to the 4 to the side, and there's our knight. Okay. Now I could easily texture it like I did in the last video, but I've taken you for quite a while on this, so I'm going to go ahead and pass on that. But that's your night. Looks pretty good. You could even render a material without, an image without any painting and stuff, and it still looks good. So that's our night. I probably will put some sample images of the renders on the blog. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this, and look forward to seeing you on the next video. You have a great day.